What's up, everybody? Thank you again for joining us. Welcome back to Revisionist History Podcast. SL on the mic. Well, how you doing today, brother?
What up? What up, CJ? I'm doing good, man. How about you, sir?
I cannot complain, man. I am super excited to talk about this one tonight.
Yeah,
Um, this is just one of those albums, man, that I mean, we could just skip to the end right now. I believe it's going to stand the test of time. So,
100%. No question. But I thought about that as I went into it. I'm like, it's ridiculous that anyone would say that this album wouldn't stand the test of time. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this is insanity. So it's almost blasphemous to even think that it wouldn't. You
Correct.
know. The album that we are talking about, the album that we are going to talk about tonight
hmm
is the hip hop classic.
Yep.
This is Illmatic by Nas that we're going to talk about tonight.
Yes, sir.
And just pumped, man. Like this album came out in '94,
hmm
right? And it didn't go gold, right? This is one of those like cult classic type things, right? It didn't go gold
Right.
until 2 years later, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And this joint didn't go. Do you know? And how crazy is came out in '94? It didn't go platinum until 2001.
Wow. That's
Bro,
crazy.
think
I
about
didn't
that.
know that. That's crazy. Wow. That's a long
Yeah,
time. Huh.
yeah. And you
Wow.
think about it, like if this is your, if this is your Mona Lisa,
Right.
and if you're not right, like you're just like, damn, was it just timing? Like, and this is back when you couldn't just stream everything. Like, how the hell did this thing not go platinum
Yeah.
within like a year?
Right. Yeah.
Um,
That's crazy, man.
right, right.
Yeah.
Um, and then the touch on another one part of it is that like so the first single off this album, and this could be a reason why it didn't go platinum right up front,
Mm.
is was not that any song is bad, but halftime
Yeah.
was the first single off of this album.
hmm
So and then after that they brought out It Ain't Hard to Tell. Right.
Right.
So Mr. Jax,
Yes, sir.
tell me about your life when this album came out. What
Mm.
were your thoughts? What song put you on to this album? Give me it, man.
All right, all right. 1994. So I'm immersed in college at this point. So as you know, the college landscape is just filled with music of all sorts. In my particular squadron, we were all hip hop all day long, all night long. So obviously Nas was on that playlist. Um, I mean, it's it's a landmark album. It's arguably, I hate when people say that, but it's sort of, I mean, people could probably argue it. It's arguably one of the greatest debuts in the history of hip hop, maybe one of the best debuts in the history of music as a whole. It's just a landmark, like in the timeline of lyricism. Like I always say that there was like a before, sort of like a before and after death, like it's sort of that similar. Like Rakim is one of them. Like there's a before and there's an after Rakim, because before Rakim there was nothing like
Mhm.
Rakim, and after Rakim there were a lot of people that wanted to be Rakim. There was, so
Right.
sort of the same is true with Nas. There wasn't a Nas before. Rakim was the descendant, but other than that, there wasn't a direct link between them other than Rakim. He was the only one. So there is a before
Right.
Nas and after Nas. Like you have to drop him on the timeline and say, yeah, seismic shift in hip hop lyricism, Nasir Jones. Like he's there, you know.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
as young dudes, we played the hell out of this album, like constantly, and I think we did what everybody else did, and we were upset at how short it was. Like that's what everybody, hated. Like,
Yeah.
man, I wish it wasn't so short.
It was like
you know,
39 minutes long, man. It's just like,
right?
come on, bro. But I guess that kind of adds to the beauty of it, right? Because you want
Yep,
something to leave you. It's like a movie where you want to know more,
right.
right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it's like if this could have been 12 tracks, and then the 12th track could have just been a throwaway
Right.
that later on would have been like, man, this whole album would be like 5 mics, but that last track,
That
though,
last track shouldn't have put that last track exactly. So
yeah,
yeah, you're right. You rather leave them wanting more than saying you overdid it. So Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great.
I mean, how many albums have you listened to over your life, right? And then you've that they've had like 20 plus songs on there, and you're
Oh,
like, or a double album, and you're
yep.
like, should have done like 12 tracks on this joint and called it a day.
Absolutely. I always say, especially with the double albums, I'm like, yep, you went super greedy. You could have boiled that down to one really great album instead of a
That's
double
it.
album. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm 100%
You
with
know,
you on that. Yeah.
I don't know if there's ever a, I mean, I don't know if there is a double album, and I know Nas had a double album with
Right.
I forget the name of it, but he had a double album. But that's another one that you could have been down to like one album and just
Yeah. Yep.
left everything else out. I mean,
Yep.
even Jay Z's The Blueprint too. Like, and I'm a whole stan,
We
but
know.
like that
We know.
that joint, The Blueprint too could have been one album, bro. Just give us those 15 hot tracks and then
Yep.
leave. There's you just let it go,
100%.
you know.
Yep. Yeah. I
So
think that's ego. I
yeah,
think that's like, the people, this is what the people want. And I'm like, the people just want you to do a dope album. They don't need.
yeah,
Yeah, like I get it. The popularity, you know what I mean? You're selling platinum records, you're getting big. You're like, yeah, let me
sure,
give them everything. I'm gonna give them 40 tracks. I don't need that.
right,
I just give me 12 or
right.
15 of your greatest ones. And yeah, and then we'll look back on
That's
it like,
it.
man, like that was one of the greatest albums ever. Like now it's like, that double
Yep,
album, yeah, it was like 8 tracks that shouldn't have been on it. That's yeah. So
facts,
so yeah.
facts.
So sir, yeah. Going back to Illmatic, yeah, to have such a short album, but this such an impactful album, yeah, that speaks volumes for sure.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with that. And you know what, man, like speaking from the world view, or like not even a world view, just the national view, right? Because we're in the U.S. But the um the optics of this of basically is like you're sitting in the project window in
Yep.
Queensbridge, and my man is just like writing down what he sees,
Yep.
right? And then we can go through the track list and we'll go through it, but like
Hmm.
you know, so it's just to be able to for somebody to be able to mentally create a movie in your mind with songs, and you're just like, damn, and you're invested in every single one of them, because it's just what you don't know, right? Like we haven't been to Queensbridge,
Right.
and it's just a fascinating aspect of it. Even though there was a lot of like, I mean, this isn't gangster rap, but like gangster rap out at the time, '93, like
Hmm.
Snoop and Dre and all them. But
Right.
like this was just different. This was so
Yeah.
visual. This
Right.
what this wasn't just like I'm gonna shoot you. This was like, no, this is what's going on outside my door.
Right. Yeah. It's a
You know?
great. That's an excellent way to describe it. Like, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like what he sees out of his like project window type of thing. Like this is what I
Yeah,
see every day. These are the stories. This is what happens. Daily
yeah,
life here. And to have that to have sort of that vision at that young age. I think that's another thing we can't sort of overlook is how young he was because he recorded the album
yeah,
like from 92 to 93 and it came out in 94. So he had to be a
yeah,
teenager, while he was making that album.
yeah,
When I was a teenager, I was not thinking like that, sir. There were those, like I liken myself to be an intelligent man, but I could tell you that
yeah,
there was
yeah.
nothing in my life that I was a visionary about to that level. So for him to have that at that point,
Right.
you know, and also to be different than anybody else to sort of blaze the trail, like you think about like him and the
Yeah,
crew that he ran with, you know what I mean? Like you just sort of visualize it, like even if you don't know, you just sort of speculate on it and you think, okay, well, he obviously was head and shoulders above everybody in his squad, especially if dudes try to
right,
rap. But then also, like
right,
just from a mentality standpoint, like he's just vibrating on a different level than everybody that he's sort of with. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like he's not coming from we're all
yeah,
rhyming the same. I'm gonna come out with this. Like he's just Nas, and I'm just gonna be Nas. Like blaze my own trail here.
yeah,
Just basically
right,
unknown. I mean, obviously he was getting a street buzz, but I mean, just coming in the game, like, and to sort of hit, especially from an underground level with just such a big groundswell, and not, there's not like
right.
a big backing behind them. And then, and then he just happens to link up with some of the greatest producers in the history of the music.
I mean, bro. Bruh, can we talk about that? I mean, you got Large Pro,
Yep.
Premier,
Yep.
Pete Rock, Q-Tip,
Yep.
LES. I
Right.
mean,
It's ridiculous.
come on, man. This is your first album, and you have these guys.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
Like, bruh, and what he started on MC Search's Live at the Barbecue, right?
Yep.
So
Right.
it's
Yeah, that's
just
the first time I remember
that
hearing him. Yeah.
yeah, like that verse right there. Streets disciple, my raps
Yep.
are trifle. I shoot slugs from my brain just like a rifle. Like
Yep.
my man said, I went to hell for snuffing Jesus,
For
bro.
snuffing Jesus. Like, yeah, he went
Yeah,
in, man. He went in. Yeah.
yeah. Like, he's just, and then let's not forget too, man. Right, the influence. So his dad is Oludara,
Right.
right? So
Yep.
blues player, world renowned blues player. So
Mm-hmm.
he had influence in that aspect of his life too.
Yep.
On top of, I believe he was a reader. Like I believe his dad or mom, his head was in the books,
Yeah,
right?
I think you're right. Yep.
And the other part of it too, man, like the advantage is the wrong word, but like the diversity of living in New York,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
yeah, you may not like your projects that may be like your area, but like you still can leave there and like you see different types of people, you experience different types of cultures all
Right.
the time.
Yep.
So like Nas and like guys from Europe may not even realize what they're soaking in at that time, but
Mm-hmm.
this is what you're seeing. You are seeing like the crackheads, the pimps, the hoes, like all that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Right.
But then like, you get to see the other guys. Like he quotes a lot of 5% teachings in this too,
Right.
right? So
Yep.
like it's a very diverse, like, versatile way of coming up, man, which is
Yeah.
pretty dope.
Yeah. And it's just and the content is just it's dense, like it's thick. You know what I mean? Like it's a heavy content album. Like I think I read an article leading up to the release of the album where he said, people think that this is just going to be like a crime shoot 'em up album, and
Mm,
I'm going to show him something different, and it's really what he did. Like no, it just
yeah,
like you said, man. It was literally like looking out the window at life and just and just telling the stories of what he was growing up in, and it just it was magnificently done on his part.
I totally agree, man. And there was a gosh, I want to say it was it's New York State of Mind, like the first verse,
Yep.
and or he like walks you through a shootout.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Right. Yeah.
he's just like outside. Basically, the long and the short of it is that he's outside and he's talking about shots start ringing up. Jake rolls up, and
Yep.
again, funny the lingo that was the slang that was used back then, right?
Yeah.
Jake was,
Right.
Jake and the Fat
Right.
Man, like, on show. So like, like Jake roll, they start rolling up and then they start shooting, and
Right.
then if you didn't have a gun, you're just gonna get shot. But
Yep.
everybody got run, and like he takes you vividly through this whole experience,
Yes.
and it's just like as you're listening to it and listening to it now.
Hmm.
Back then, you're just listening to it, you're vibing to it, you're like, yeah, this is crazy, man.
Right. Right. This is ill. Right. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
now listening to it, you're like, yo, he's really telling a story right now.
Right. Yeah. And put you in
And
the
it,
middle of it. Like, yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, and to be honest, man, like it's a story that most people will never experience, thank God,
Right.
in
Thank
life,
God.
right? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's yeah, I mean, it's just time to start the revolution. What do you say? Catch the body, head to Houston. Once they caught us off guard with the Mac 10 in the grass, I ran like a cheetah with thoughts of an assassin. Picked the
Hmm.
Mac up, told the brothers back up. The Mac spit, lead was hitting. One ran, I made him backflip. Heard a few chicks scream, my arm shook, couldn't look. Gave another squeeze, heard a click. Yo, my ish stuck. Like,
Mm.
just telling you. Tried to
Yeah.
cock it. He wasn't shooting, no, I'm in danger. Finally pulled it back and saw three bullets caught up in the chamber. Now I'm jetting to the building lobby, and it was full of children. Probably couldn't see as high as I be. Like,
Yep.
imagine now you're placing these kids
Right.
in the lobby. You're in the middle of a shootout.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's just
Um,
yeah. That mind at that age to be able to put something together like that is like that's special. That's special, man. You know.
and the part that like tripped me out too, bro, is that like you make it rhyme.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? You're not telling a
Like
story.
right. Yeah. Like you're also putting it in rhyme form. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Right.
a pattern to this, and you're saying it on this beat that you have. Like,
Right.
bro, so many layers to this stuff.
So
Um,
here, so I'm glad you brought up New York State of Mind, because I did read another little fun fact about that. So Premier said when he was recording it, like the part like in the beginning, and then where he says, I don't know where to start this. So the
yeah,
reason why Nas said that, because he had just written it recently, and he didn't know how to. When he said I didn't know how to start this, he literally meant he didn't know how to start it in terms of how it would sound on beat. Like he had just
uh,
written it and just didn't know how to sort of convey it over the track. So Premier was like, he says that, I count him in. He says, yo, and then boom, he just drops it. I'm like, okay, that's okay.
wow,
Yeah. Like that,
wow,
yeah. Yeah, that put a whole different frame of reference on it. Like,
yo,
yeah,
you like imagine. All right, so let's put that in perspective, right? So that's like
please.
you're at your job. You just start your job, right? This is his first album, so he's just starting his job,
Just start your
and you
job.
starting your job, and you
Yep.
show up to work, and your manager, your boss, whatever, is just like, "Hey, man, you got to do this," and you're like, "I don't know how to start this," and then he's like, "All right, I'm gonna count you on the count of three. You got to start it." You're like, one, two. You're like, three. Rappers, I love them with the funky rhythm. I mean,
Right.
like,
Exactly. You just kill it.
figure it out.
You just murder
And
it.
you're
Right.
yeah, like
Yeah, I don't even understand it. Like when I read that, I'm like, that's it's actually ridiculous.
that.
That's
That's
yeah,
insane, man.
it's next
So
level. It's next level. It's just next level. I don't even know what to say.
yeah, facts, man. So
Yeah,
like when you first heard this album, were you would you or did you mint it as a classic at that time?
yeah. I think when I heard it, I think my initial thought the first time I listened to the record through, I was like, he might be the greatest rapper of all time. Like I remember thinking that at the time, like I'd never heard anybody like this before. Like
Right.
this is lyricism that I've never experienced before. He might be the greatest ever. That was
Yeah.
what I thought. Um,
I mean, to
he
be fair, Jay Z did well. Jay Z wasn't out yet, so I'm just gonna throw that out
here
there.
we go. Here, he's like, I believe your stand is showing, sir. I believe your stand is showing.
So,
I'm sorry. I'm
my bad.
sorry,
I got
audience. It's this is gonna
yeah.
happen from time to time. He can only cover it up so long. You know. Luckily, we're not. Episode isn't about the Jay Z Nas beef, because I don't even know. I don't even know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even think he would let me talk, because I'd have to take the Nas side just to be contrarian, and
Yeah.
he'd probably just mute my mic. So, but
Yeah.
anyway,
We probably wouldn't ever release that episode. Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, that's yeah. That's all. I was like, this guy, he's the greatest ever. I don't even understand. This is crazy. Now that's 94. I'm 19 years old or whatever, hearing that, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is, I don't even understand why.
Yeah.
How do these words even work? This is crazy. And especially for me, as I hadn't, as a, as I became a music artist or whatever you want to say, I hadn't written a rhyme yet
Mhm.
until the next year, like until 95. So for me,
Interesting.
I had no idea about how to sort of write a rhyme or structure it or anything like that. I just knew I liked hip hop, and I understood it and took it
Right.
in. But, I was still a year away from attempting to write lyrics. So to hear this guy, with this rhyme pattern and cadence that I've never heard before
Yeah.
from anybody that I've listened to up to that point, I'm like, is
Right.
the game over? Is that it? Nobody else can top that. I don't understand. Like, did he just win? Like,
Yeah.
is that how this works? So yeah, that's sort of what I took from it. That
Hip hop is over forever.
yeah, I just thought, he just crossed the finish line. He's the dude. He's that dude. That's it. So, those were
Yeah.
my initial thoughts back then.
Nah, respect, man. And like, look, this guy, shout out to Nas again. Location, 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 right?
Yeah,
It's like anything else. And his brother came up with like Big Daddy Kane and having access to all these guys, man. And
right.
that doesn't take away from his lyrical prowess or like his mental, you
Sure.
know. It's just that like the beauty of like spitting out front of your in your projects and
Yeah.
then being like, oh yeah, my man is LES, go over here, see Large Pro and
Right.
to the studio. check out my guy Nas. It's Pete Rock, and like, bro,
Right.
those are things that like people dream of,
Yeah.
you
Exactly.
know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember when this album came out, man. But the song that put it on my map was "It Ain't Hard to Tell."
Okay.
And just the that melodic da 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 da,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
like when that joint came on, man,
Yep.
it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And just his lyrics, man, like just called himself like the Buddha monk of hip hop, basically. Like
Right.
he's the
Yep.
calm guy, but he'll take you out if he needs to, and
Right.
um, it's just the dude is just ridiculous. He's just ridiculous with the bars.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
There was one bar that stood out. I forget the song it was in, but I think it was halftime. My man
Hmm.
said, "I switched my motto. Instead of saying F tomorrow, that buck that bought a bottle could have struck the lotto."
Yep.
So
Oh, it's a
this to
great.
me,
That's a great bar. Great.
right?
Yep.
So like, picture yourself being 18 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see this world in front of you, and then having the wherewithal to be like, you know what, man, I'm gonna stop wasting my money on this drinking.
Yep.
I'm gonna play the lotto because I can accumulate more money on top of that.
Right.
And at that point, you can buy all the drinks you freaking want if you win a lotto.
Right. Exactly.
But like Nas's mind was already thinking past his block,
Right.
right?
Yep.
He's a big thinker, and we all know people or family or whatever that I have family members in West Philly, and it's
Hmm.
like if it ain't in West Philly, it ain't gonna be. It's nowhere,
Exactly. Right. Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah, for him to have that mindset, man, and then obviously we see where his career and his life. I mean, he's a big time investor now and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. And
Yep.
uh, the dude he's got it, man. And
Yeah.
they're special people. And shout out to everybody that took care of this guy to make sure he stayed out of harm's way.
Absolutely, man.
So, did you have a favorite track that you liked back then, man? Like one that you would put on repeat?
Well, I'll tell you this: New York State of Mind had a profound effect on me. Um,
Yeah,
it's just one of those, and I feel like every episode I'm saying it and saying, oh, I hate to say it, but it's one of those perfect tracks, man. Like, the
yeah,
soundscape, the chaoticness of the production by Primo, mixed with the
mhm,
storytelling. It's just a great way to sort of jumpstart an album. Like, if you're trying to grab somebody's attention, you couldn't really do it any better than that. For a 19-year
that's
old,
it.
like from Queens, just ripping it.
Yeah,
Um, and and I
yeah,
think it's also unique to sort of start an album with a storyteller, like to sort of start an album with like usually you nowadays, or even then, you sort of started with, this is, I'm introducing myself. This is me. I'm ill. You know what I mean? Like, but this one was very different. It was like, like I'm going to immediately take you in the middle of where I grew up. I'm going to take you in the middle of Queensbridge right away. Like, let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
so,
right.
just even that uniqueness is, something that I think a lot of people don't really think about. But to start your album that way is risky, on some level.
Yeah,
Um, it goes against the formulaic style of what a first track would be on a typical hip hop album. Um,
sure.
but he wasn't your typical artist either. So, it sort of fell hand in hand. But that was New York State of Mind was my instant favorite from the album for sure.
I mean, that's an instant head nod beat, man.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that, like when that
Yep.
comes on, you can't help but to do that. So,
It's
you know,
ridiculous.
just yeah, being that age, man, and then like you're at college and everything. I think I was in high school, like,
Hmm.
and just you hear that song, like we'd hear it in the hallways. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you can't help it. And
Right.
for me, the big song then was "Life's a B."
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
was the introduction to AZ.
I mean, let's talk. I don't know. Okay. I don't know if it's happened before. And I don't want to overstate it. No disrespect to anybody if I am overstating it. But AZ got a deal off of that verse. Like, he got a deal. He's the
Facts.
only featured guest on Nas' album, and he
Yeah.
got his record deal because
Yeah,
of a verse on
yeah,
somebody else's album. Like, I don't know how many artists that's happened to, but the number's got to be small. It's got to
yeah.
be small. I mean, and yeah, so
Yo,
speaking of that, it's funny you brought that up. I was reading about that. They talked to AZ about that around the time of the album. He said he hated this
mhm.
verse on the album. He thought it was terrible. He did. He
What?
said he thought that Nas just murdered it. He thought he was terrible, and but he was like, it is what it is. Nas liked it. I'm good. Whatever. I hate it, but Nas thought it was
What?
cool. It's his album. What? Yeah, he did not like it. It's like Dr. Dre not liking the
Bro.
deep cover beat. Like it's the same. It's like this incredulous. Like, what
Yeah,
do you mean
right.
you didn't like it? Like he didn't like it. He thought it was terrible. Yeah, it got you. It
I love
literally
that.
jump started your whole career. It literally did. It's crazy.
Yes. Like that was like, bro, you wouldn't have had Sugar Hill without that joint. Like, are you kidding
Yo,
me?
I'm saying like,
The whole
and
dope guy
and
album.
and Az been nice, like, and that for
Yeah,
him to think that that was a terrible verse is crazy to me. It's crazy. Yeah,
man. The man came out of the gate rapping like a bulldog. You know what I mean? Like
I'm
it was no
serious.
like, my man, like the beat was on, and all of a sudden it's just like that smooth beats ride, and all of a sudden visualizing the realism of life and
I mean,
actuality. F who's the baddest, a person's status. It depends on salary.
I
Like,
mean, uh,
bro,
it's
come on,
so
man.
great.
Come
It's
on.
such an unbelievable verse, man. It's unbelievable.
It's one of
Yeah,
those ones where like he raps it so smooth yet so fast that you have
right,
to go back and read the words,
right.
right?
Yeah, you had to study it. Yep.
Speaking of, can we talk for a second of how much it's like when you used to buy a CD, how much
Hmm.
did you want to, like, when you open up the album cover, you want the lyrics to be in there? Like how
Oh,
dope is that?
absolutely. Oh
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
in my cassette buying days. That's what I loved about cassettes because the inlay, little inlay card, you pull it
Yeah,
all out and all the lyrics would be out there. I remember
yeah,
studying Public Enemy records and just reading all the, they put everything in. They put the little vocal samples, what they were saying, everything. I loved it. I used to love
yeah,
that stuff, man. Yeah, I remember sitting on the
yeah.
bed and listening to records and just reading, right along with it, man. Absolutely.
That's it.
Oh,
That's
what a
it, man.
lost art, man.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Oh, how about it, bro? Like that's even like you used to look and see who the producers were. You know what I mean? And
right.
just like,
Yeah, man.
but like it just was so great. It was great, man. Like to your point, like think about how much better you understood lyrics. Even you understood like all the nuances of what they were saying, but like
Right.
to take Nas in this example and like look at the lyrics and like you're reading along
Right.
with it and like you're just digesting that as like a
Yep.
18, 19, 20-year-old person, bro. Like
Right. Yep.
that's yeah, that was beautiful. But
Make you want to shed a tear, brother. I hear you, man. I hear
you know what I mean? Shout out to the wall. Like the wall makes it in every episode.
you. Shout out to the wall, man. Absolutely.
Oh man, but yeah, like and even the dynamic, right? So you got Az coming out on that track, and he's just gone. He's just going for it.
Right.
And then Nas comes out, and Nas is always Mr. Smooth,
Right.
and he's just like his delivery on that track is like real laid back. I woke up
Hmm.
early on my born day. I'm 20. It's a blessing. The essence of adolescence leaves my body. Now I'm fresh, and my physical
Yep.
frame is celebrated because I made it. Like,
Mm. Yep.
bro, who's
Yeah.
who's 20 and using the word adolescence and
I'm
essence?
saying, man, that's what I'm
Adolescence,
saying. Like his
the beauty,
depth at that age is uncanny, man.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The essence of adolescence, like the beauty of childhood, leaves my body, and now I'm fresh. So like this, but like he's 20.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man.
Oh, so
Yeah.
I mean, even saying stuff, I remember thinking like, and this may sound stupid now, but like somebody said, like my physical frame is celebrated because I made it 1/4
Mhm.
through life, some godly like thing created, like 1/4 through life. So like this dude 20. So what are you saying? You're gonna go to 80? Like
Right.
bro,
Yeah. The right. The perspective of it. Right. Like,
perspective, man.
yeah. Like when I turned 20, that was the last thing I was thinking about was, yeah,
No,
like how much life I just lived. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm quarter through life. No, that never would have crossed my mind. Never.
no, no.
Not at that
20,
age.
like ready to have a party, bro. Like,
Exactly. I'm trying to see these chicks, man. I'm not. Yeah.
right.
None of this is going through my head right now. Right. So yeah,
No.
for him to
I,
have that level of thinking and level of cognizance of his own reality is pretty remarkable.
yeah, and I mean, and Az in his verse, he goes, and I can't even pronounce this word, but I'm gonna say keeping it Schweppervescent.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, so yep, so that's yeah. Actually, I did a little. I remember years ago, I was always stuck on that and trying to figure out
yeah,
what that was about. From what I understand, that's like a New York thing. Um, and I'd have to dig into it a little more, but but I think it's about a drink that was really popular in New York,
yeah,
and there was a commercial
yeah,
about it, and that was the term that they used for the drink. I never knew that for years. I just remember thinking, "What is that? Did he make up a word? What is that?" And
yeah.
then finally, yeah, I think I just read something about it, and then I saw. Shout out to my man Jay Bear in
Yeah.
Harrisburg. He does these breakdowns of different verses on tracks, and he actually did a breakdown on the AZ's
Mm.
verse on "Life's a B," and he actually talked about that. And I was like, "Yeah,
Oh, no.
I had to look that up, man. I had no idea. I didn't know nothing
Yeah.
about little New York nuances.
Like,
Like
I
I
mean,
knew
who the
about
hell is
Schweppes, like
Schweppervescent,
you
bro?
know what I mean, but I had no idea about the Schweppes Prevescence. No
Apparently, it was it was a marketing slogan by Schweppes, and they
Right,
played on the word effervescence, meaning bubbliness. So, like,
right,
but how do you put that in a rap? Like,
right. How does that come up to put in a rhyme? Right. Yeah.
yeah, you're just like, you're sitting there, you're writing, and like, you think of it too, like you're an artist, man. So, like,
Yeah.
you're sitting there. There was no iPad, iPhone to write your stuff in at
Right.
that point, man. It's
Yep.
literally writing down. You're like, Schweppervescence. You know what I mean?
Right. And you write that exactly. Right. Yeah. Like, how does that happen? Like, how does that enter your mind? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And for the record, I still write. I do not write lyrics on any device. It's strictly
respect.
actually I write. I'm weird. I still write. I write in pencil. I don't write in pen. I use a pencil when I write
Really?
raps. I've always have, and I always will. I've written. Yeah, I always write with a pencil and paper. I will never ever write a verse
Yeah,
on a phone or iPad or anything like that. Computer, never. Yeah, the
respect,
computer's for the
respect.
recording. The paper and the pad, the pen and the pad, or pencil and the pad in my case, or for the writing. Old school to the
Yeah.
end. This is the
So,
way
man, brother, respect it,
it is.
man.
You know.
So, talk to me about, man. Is there a track that like you listened to when you were studying the album this time around that you were like, yeah, this really hits me different this time?
Yeah, I would say it's a great point, man. I think represent was
Mm,
yeah, I enjoyed represent. I remember liking represent. I think just because of the beat, like I thought the beat was really dope. You know, another premiere
yeah,
beat or whatever. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, there was something about just the whole idea of the song that was yeah, it struck me more this time for whatever reason. Um, yeah, that's a
right.
dope record, man. But yeah, I mean,
That is.
just sort of going back, it's been a little bit since I've heard this album, but not super long. But just like Memory
Mhm.
Lane and One Love and Life's a B.
Yeah,
I mean, there's just so many just certified head nodders, like, and just filled with
yeah,
lyricism, man. Like I think that's what's great about.
that's it.
That's particularly what's great about the fact that it's short is that he takes no bars off. You know what I mean? Like
No,
he gives you everything on every song. You know what I mean? And that's
yeah,
for a debut album, that's for every artist, that debut album is I get to say what I need to say, and I'm saying it for the first time. And usually we all make the mistake of
right,
doing like 300 songs for it or whatever. But for him to be able to
right,
just whittle it down to 9 and have these great producers and to be able to concoct these great concepts and records with these great already established producers and to just give you content
right.
every song and never like there isn't really a throwaway song. There isn't like a no, oh, you got to do one for the girls,
No,
or oh, you got like there's none of that
nope.
format. Like it's just a dope underground hip hop album that it's just that's it. You know,
Totally agree, man. And like, to your point, he didn't make any songs for the radio,
right?
right?
Yeah,
There's no club songs on here. Like this is
right.
just straight New York grittiness.
Yeah, which would
I mean,
explain the slow burn for like its popularity and going platinum. It just was a
yeah,
dope. It was just a dope hip hop record. It wasn't like,
that's it.
oh, we did this joint with insert R&B singer here. You know what I mean? Like there was none of that. Like he just had one guest, and that dude was a lyricist. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
there wasn't like yeah, like he took no shorts on it, man. Like he didn't cut any corners. He just said, "I'm giving you dope hip hop." That's it.
I mean, even down to like the artwork on the album, right? It's
Right.
just his face, his young face, with the
Mm-hmm.
with the opacity turned down, with the Queens Bridge behind him,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
it's just like you just know when you look at that album, you're like, oh, this boy's about to say some stuff, man.
He's about to say something. Right. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A track for me, man, that stood out this time was "One Love."
Yeah,
Really
man.
hit, and I think and I don't think I know it's because like I have a cousin who's in jail in prison, and like I
Right.
talk to him on a weekly basis. Whether it's
Mm-hmm.
talking or they text. We can text now, right?
Okay.
So like I think just like writing, like the way that Nas is writing to his boys and letting them know like what's going on. You know what I mean? Like out in the streets and everything, and then from my point of view, it's like my cousin's always like, so "What's going on with y'all, man?" He always wants to hear like what's happening, and like for me, like I feel guilty sometimes because like I'll start writing stuff like, "Oh man, daggone quarantine got us locked in the house," then I'm like, erase, 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 because
Right.
this person's in
I
jail.
can
You
still
know what I mean?
leave though. Right. Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Know your
Right.
audience.
Facts.
even even this, I was like, he asked me yesterday. He was like, "Yo, how's your podcast going? Like you and your boy?" And I was like,
Mhm.
"Yo, it's dope, man. Like, yo, go on YouTube and like just check us out. Type in revisionist hip hop." He was like, "Bro, we can't watch YouTube." And I was like,
Wow.
Gotcha,
Yeah. Yeah.
gotcha."
See. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that type
That's a
of
real
stuff,
lack of freedom right there. That's not like, oh man, I gotta wear my mask. Yeah, that's like
right?
real. I can't leave here, bro. They're like, yeah,
I can't,
perspective. I get
I
it.
can't watch YouTube. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah, I can't do
Like,
that.
really?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh.
So when Nas is writing to his boys, you know what I mean,
Right.
all the different verses, it's like I get it.
Yep.
I get it. I
Yeah.
mean, he's just talking about like the homegirl that was acting a fool, and
Yep.
what I mean, like shout out to Cormega, like 'cause we
Yep.
learned about Cormega, we heard his name in this album. Then next thing you know, like Cormega got out and he started doing rap. You know what I
Right.
mean? And he
Yeah.
had a couple of bangers himself. So
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? It's just so that was definitely one that hit different this time around.
Hmm. I respect that.
Yeah, yeah, that one, and then uh Memory Lane was just a
Oh
dope
yeah.
one, man.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's just my man is just sitting out on a park bench, just again writing about what he sees.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's not many people that do it better, man. It's amazing. Like it's almost I mean, yes, it's poetry in and of itself, but I mean like poetry in the sense of a poet observing his surroundings and being able to
Yes.
articulate that, in the written form so that
Yeah.
someone that has no idea about your reality can connect with you on it. Like there's a, it's you can there's like two levels of that. Like you can write about what's around you, but that doesn't necessarily mean someone else is going to see that and say, I don't get it. But
Right.
not like from the jump, from New York State of Mind on, like he pulled you into it, and you were like, man, I get this. Like I
Yeah.
feel it. You know what I mean? Like to your point with One Love, that's a great point, man. Like 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 I mean, I guess we've all known somebody that's either been in jail or not been, whatever. But
Sure.
but it hits harder for you because of having a family member in jail now.
Sure.
Like, but even then, like, even not having one, you could just you could still see it and get it. Like, this makes sense.
Yeah.
This feels human. You know what I mean? This feels like
Yeah.
you're telling your boy what's going on out here. Like, here's what's happening outside.
You can.
Hold your head type of thing. Like, it's human.
That's
You know what
it.
I mean?
Because those stories are what keeps those people in there going.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
like
Yep.
the, the one thing my cousin always tells me about, he's like, man, just the thing that gets him down is that there's so much testosterone
Mm,
in there, because
right,
how could there not be?
right,
So, when he hears these stories, or like I put, the kid on the phone, that
mm,
brightens their day. So, like,
right,
we're telling about, like, went to a soccer tournament this weekend. He loves that stuff. So, like, for Nas to write these kind of letters
right.
to his boys through music on top of that. So not only are they getting like personalized letters from him, but
Hmm.
now there also could be people in the prison who also be like, yo, that's my man who's
Well
spitting
said.
rap, rapping, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And, switching gears a little bit, like, I feel like too with this album, let's not forget that this album came out in 94. So he worked in what, 92, 93, you say?
Hmm.
His man, Ill Will, was killed in 92.
Correct. Yep.
So Ill Will's name is mentioned throughout this album. So it feels like this album is also like therapy for him,
Right. Yep.
right?
Hmm.
You take
Yeah.
that angle of therapy, and it's just like, imagine everything you're feeling in the streets. These same streets you're writing about are the ones that took your man, because there was a little tussle going on.
Right.
So now I need to just write about this to get this out of my system, so I feel better, right? Get rid of that energy,
Yep.
and it turned into one of the best hip hop albums ever created.
Ever, ever created. It's
You know what I mean?
to have, just for me, it's awe inspiring. Like to be an artist and to have that attached to your name, like your debut album is literally one of the greatest to ever have been made in your genre. Like that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that label, which no one could ever take away. Like, you
Nope.
did it. Like you laid that out there. That's it. It's like, okay, yeah, that's one of the greatest albums ever. Congratulations, you did that.
Yeah.
Like no one can ever say, yeah, remember when I told you that? Never mind. Like you can't take it away.
Right.
It's there. You put it in the atmosphere. It's done. Yeah, to have that label on yourself,
Yeah.
it's mind boggling to me. Oh,
It's also got to be tough, man. Like, you think about the pressure of coming out with your next album, and you're just like, I mean, I guess when he came out with the next album, this still wasn't acclaimed as like one of the greatest ever, right? Like, it did. I mean, I guess
correct.
sales wise it wasn't, but it still
Right.
wasn't claimed as like this. So maybe I'd be interested to see like if he felt the pressure on his next album to like really deliver, or if he was just like, I'm just going to go do me again,
Yeah. Right.
because I oh, one other bar that I wanted to mention on here, which was pretty, again, think if you put yourself in a 20-year-old's perspective.
Okay.
Um, my man said, I won't plant seeds, don't need an extra mouth I can't feed. That's extra Philly change. My man got his priorities going on the weed.
Yep.
That's extra Philly change, more cash for some damn weed. How do you say F them kids without saying F them kids? Like, this
That's facts. That's pretty much how you say it right there. Pretty much.
is what the
Yeah.
man said. This is
But
what the
yeah,
man
but
said.
you're right. Like it's the perspective in that moment that that for other kids that are that age, it's like, yeah, I get that. I ain't got time for these kids right now. I'm not trying to have no
Ain't got
kids.
time,
Right.
bro.
Yeah. So I
You
get
know,
that.
and we
Yep.
both have seen it. We both have seen it where like people have kids and they act like the kids are like just like a token or something. You know what I mean? Like the kids just
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
I got a kid. Everybody's doing it. And
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah.
shout out to Nas. I know he ended up having a child at a young age, but like
Right.
at least brother's thinking the right way.
Yeah. Right.
But hey, I guess you get on the road and things
I
start
mean,
happening.
things happen. I mean, when you're
Yeah,
Nas,
yeah,
you're on the road. I mean,
right.
you know what I'm
It is
saying.
what it is.
You
It
know
is
what
what
I mean?
it is. So I don't even think that. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this: Is this is this the best Nas album ever?
Ooh. I feel like a lot of people say yes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard, like I guess if you have the greatest, or for most people, the greatest debut ever. I guess it's
Sure,
probably hard to have a better album than that.
sure.
If you're if you're in the books as having the best debut of all time. So I guess it's difficult to say,
It's kind of tough,
well, like yeah, it's hard to say. Well, no, this album was better. It's hard to say. Um,
right?
I'll say this. I'll say Nas's albums over time, and obviously he's got a huge catalog and he's got a great career. Um, I
Sure.
know a lot of people, come at him about, production choices and, and sometimes
Yeah,
the content
guilty.
or whatever. Yeah, correct. But you don't count because you're staying. But um, but there are albums that he has done where I wouldn't say that they're necessarily better than Illmatic, but I think they're great for what he was doing at the moment.
Yeah,
Stillmatic
yeah,
is
respect.
probably a good example. I mean, that's a pretty great
Yes,
record. Now, it's not better than Illmatic, but it's a great record. The Life is
sure,
Good album is
right.
a great album. It's not better than Illmatic.
Love that album.
It's a great album. Like it's, you know, I,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how you're gonna. I don't think you're gonna eclipse something that that was a seismic shift in the culture. I mean, it literally was a seismic shift. 9 tracks
you
changed the
can't.
complete face of hip hop in 1994. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know how
love
you
that.
top that. I
No, I
think,
totally agree.
yeah, you just continue to just make good music, and that's all you can really do at that point.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree on that, man. And I think the one that for me that would come close would be I love It Was Written. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
um, It Was Written to me was just like a dope. I don't think it's better,
Right.
but I think that he took his he broadened himself. You could tell that he got around a little bit,
Right. Yeah.
like because that's when he got into like his mafioso. Remember, he's doing like the pink suits out in Vegas and
Yep.
did Street Dreams, The
Right.
Message.
Yep.
He got hooked up with the Firm,
Yep.
Fox Brown, and all them. But if I ruled the world, like all that stuff. I mean, that just kind of keeps playing on his growth as a person and the visuals, right? So now, like, you took this guy from Illmatic who was talking about his neighborhood and
Right.
also giving you little nuggets here and there about like what's outside of his neighborhood to a guy now that was on tour and traveling outside of his neighborhood,
Right.
and you hear it now and you see it. Um, but on the I am, or I'm sorry, It Was Written.
Hmm.
Uh, that has one of my favorite Nas joints. I know we're getting off of Illmatic for a minute. We're just comparing,
Yeah.
but uh, I Gave You Power.
Oh.
I mean,
Oh man,
I mean
it's
that
one of his greatest tracks ever. One of the
one
greatest
of
tracks he's ever done.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Like
Unbelievable record. Unbelievable.
yes, you probably couldn't take that out. That song didn't fit with the aesthetic of Illmatic,
Right.
but just the mindset and the wordplay, the storytelling
Yep.
of you're this gun that gets tossed around by everybody, and
Yep.
you don't like being this gun, like ridiculous,
Yeah. Oh, great record, man.
right? Like
Great record.
I think I may listen to that after this. Like it's dope. I mean, he has tracks for days. I mean, Rewind is another one where he tells the story backwards.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know,
There's so many.
it,
I mean, he's made a ton, a boatload of amazing records. He just has,
yeah,
Yeah, people,
yeah,
and and
and
I think the thing that for Nas, that for people that are critics of him, I think they put him in that Illmatic box. Once you make an album, you come out of gates and you make an album that great. It's like, I don't know, it's like hitting 70 home runs in your first season, or it's like you know scoring
right,
38
right,
points a game in the NBA. You know what I mean? Your first year, and it's like, oh, what you gonna do now? You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, now you're always that 38
yeah,
and 18 guy. You know what I mean? Or you're always that 68 homer
yeah.
guy. Like, like you can't expect an
I mean,
artist to you can't expect the artist to stay in that same pocket at 19 and
nah,
come back a couple years later. He's not that 19-year-old anymore. It's just not. He's not in that space anymore.
yeah,
So
nah,
that's always been. I think that's always been a problem that now. I mean, in theory, he brought it on himself by making a great first album, but you can't fault him for making a great first album. He just made a great first album. It's
exactly.
just the way it is.
Yeah,
So I think, and
yeah.
I,
And if you
oh,
make a great,
and
I mean,
I blame myself too. I do it with Nas from time to time. So but yeah, I think we got to really look at him big picture and realize, like, he made a landmark album. Let that man cook, and do what he needs to do.
that's it.
You know.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And look, if he did make the classic album the first time around, he may not have gotten a second album, right?
Right,
So, and third, fourth, fifth, on and on and on.
right.
Um, but yeah, I totally agree, man. Like you have to, again, now looking at it from this vantage point, being a little
Hmm.
older now, it's like it'd be like saying that you're the same person that you were when you were 20.
Exactly. Right.
You aren't that same guy, right? So
No,
like,
it's not
and if
possible.
it's not possible, and if you
Right.
were that same person with that same mentality, it'd be like, what the heck is wrong with you, bro? Like,
Right.
you gotta move on.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. You got to
like
grow up, sir. What's happening here? Right.
that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. So
Right.
you know, I think that it's like when you go to a concert, like you only want them to play the hits, right? People always want
Yeah.
them to
Right.
play the hits, and um, you know, uh, people like us, we're like, give us the B sides, give us the deep
Hmm.
cuts,
Yep. Yeah.
you know.
Give me the
Spill it.
unreleased joints. Yeah. Give me all
Yeah,
that. Right. Yep.
yeah.
Hmm.
So I just think that, yeah, I think that Illmatic is just great, man, and Nas has a great catalog, you know.
Yeah.
And I am definitely that person that like I'd hear him with some beats, and I'm like, God, come
I mean,
on, man.
yeah. Look, I mean, there was some whack beats. I mean, that there was some whack beats. He made some bad choices over the career. There's no you can't deny
Jesus.
that part. He made some bad choices. It is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. But
Oh,
but at the same time, he did one mic. He did Poison. You know what I mean? He did I Gave You Power. He gave you. I mean,
yeah.
he even did Doctor Knockboot, and that's dope. And I don't care what anybody
Yeah,
says. That joint's a banger.
that is
Um, I mean, he
yes.
did Made You Look, bruh. He did, the Don.
Oh,
Like he's got some,
oh,
Made You Look. I don't even want to get into it, but
made you look.
it's what. First of all, production wise, It's one of the greater beats in the modern era. I mean, that's a whole nother
Come on,
discussion, but
come on,
it's ridiculous. That
talk to him.
track's
Come
ridiculous.
on. I mean, that oh,
It's
just as soon as it
unbelievable.
comes on, bro, then the
Yep.
break,
Oh,
like
with the
stupid.
break beat. I mean, it's just stop playing, man. Stop playing. Anyway,
It's
sorry.
just yeah.
Going on a tangent about Nas because
I know
his catalog's so deep, and I feel like,
it
the
is.
Illmatic album, everybody, if you don't agree with us about Illmatic being great, I'm not sure what to say about you. That's weird. It's like if
Yeah,
you don't like
people
the
talking about
Illmatic album, you
Mac.
just don't like Nas. I mean, I guess that's
That's facts.
yeah. Like you can't just say, yeah, I like Nas, but I don't know about that Illmatic. That's ridiculous. Like you just don't like Nas.
Uh, exactly. You know what? I think there's something awesome too about like growing, like us being around the same age as the said artist, and then growing with that artist.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I remember Nas made the album. I think it was his double album, and he
Mhm.
had the songs in there 'cause he was with Khalees, and he was getting married. And like,
Right.
you know what I mean? For me, it was around the same time that like we were either engaged or getting married, and I was
Okay.
like, yo, fire,
Yeah.
because
Right.
relatable in life in that point in life,
Yep.
And then after that, he made Life is Good with like the wedding dress sitting there,
Uh
you know.
huh. Yep.
And then that joint banged. Then he had the joint with Damian Marley too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, man. Wait,
Man,
was it the double album? Was that Street's Disciple? Was that the double album?
I believe so.
I can't
I
remember
believe.
anymore. I feel
Let
like it
me
was, but
let me see. It was yeah, Street's Disciple. Oh, Hip Hop is Dead, bro.
wow, I forgot about that one actually. Wow.
That's a sick one.
Wow.
Um, I think Street's Disciple was the double album.
I
I
feel
can't
like it
remember.
is too,
It
but
was. It was the double
okay.
album.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
had Virgo on there with Dougie Fresh and Ludacris.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Right, right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, but anyway, man. Do you have any final thoughts? I think that we can safely say that this obviously stands the test of time.
I
We've been,
mean, 100% behind the test. Yeah, it's just people will be playing this 20 years from now. It's legendary.
yeah.
It's just legendary.
So, do you have any final thoughts on the album, sir?
Well, again, I think it was a great move to make it short because people wanted more. It probably added to the
Yeah.
mystique of it over time for people, for especially for like hip hop
Mhm.
heads like ourselves. Um,
Mhm.
and just it's just it's just a perfect marriage of finding amazing production and and having top shelf lyricism just sort of run into each other and and create. And but it wasn't it wasn't just he wasn't just rapping just to rap, like I always say, he wasn't just rapping, like he wasn't just rapping just to say he was rapping, like he really had something to say.
Yeah,
He really had a story that he wanted to convey, and he did an
yeah.
excellent job of that, in a way that not many artists at that age, especially, would not have been able to pull off in such a way. So, props to Nas for literally dropping the greatest debut album of all time, and to continue, until his credit, man. Usually you come out of the gates that with that much fire on you. Usually you're going to burn out pretty quick.
Right.
Most times the artists can't, they fall victim to the pressure, or they try to go like the complete opposite on the next album,
Yep.
fall apart, and then next thing you know, you don't hear about him anymore. Meanwhile, he just won a Grammy. So it's
Right.
he carved out a pretty good career since 1994, considering we're in 2021, and he's still getting it in. So props to him
Yeah.
for being able to withstand that and continue to make solid records after all this time, and and stay true to who he wants to be. So those are my final thoughts about
So
Nasir Jones.
nah, respect, man. And look, I mean, this is a great album, and it went double platinum. So clearly, the people have fallen in love with this album even more as time has gone on.
Right,
It is. It's one of those that I know personally. I haven't stopped playing. Like you play it like every so often, right? It's
right.
not one that you're like, oh shoot, I forgot all about that. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm in the mood to hear this, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, I think it's one of the best albums out there, man. And I sometimes I really think that ignorance is bliss too,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like you know what you know. So for him, like he knew outside of his house, his his
Yeah.
apartment, and
Mm-hmm.
he knew that his friend was killed. He knew he had friends locked up. He knew what he saw,
Mm-hmm.
and he may not have even realized at the time that the rest of the world wasn't like that, right?
Right. Right.
So like we're sitting down here, like somebody else is sitting in like California who has never even been in New York. Like thankfully we're only a couple hours from New York, but like you're out in California where it's palm trees and sunny. Um, and now you're hearing this guy talk about like what it's like in his projects, and like you see all these tall buildings in the videos, and like you're from California, like what the heck are those tall buildings, right?
Right.
Like what is this?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a great album to bring people from the outside in, whether he realized he was doing this or not.
Right.
Uh, he painted vivid pictures, and to your what you said about Jay Z's The Evils, it was like he painted a movie,
Yeah.
right?
He
It's
did.
like he told you a movie, and it's one of those albums that I think that they could have done when they weren't doing it at that time. But like Beyonce has, she releases albums now, but she releases entire movies.
Right. Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
like they could do this with Nas's Illmatic, and I know this,
Absolutely.
and it's just dope, man. Like the view from a young man growing up like that. So
Yeah.
uh, shout out to Nas.
Yep.
Shout out to all the producers
Yep.
on there.
Yep.
Uh, please reach out to us. Hit us up on Instagram at Revisionist Hip Hop.
Yes, sir.
Follow us on YouTube at
Yep.
uh, Revisionist Hip Hop,
Mm-hmm.
and leave us a comment. Let us know what you want us to review, or not even review, bro. What'd you say? Revisit, correct?
Yeah. Revisit. Yeah. This is Illmatic Revisited. Hit us up. Let us know what you think. Tell us
Yes,
you
sir.
can. I mean, you could say you can hate us. It's fine. I mean, whatever.
That's
We'll
fine.
probably delete your
Yeah.
comment. It's cool. But
Yeah.
I mean, say what you want. It's cool. It's a free country. You do what you want. You know what I mean? But we appreciate you listening, and we'll be back with another fresh episode. I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do,
Yes,
because
sir.
that's how we get down right now. We don't give you no little preview. We don't do that. So
Yes, sir.
you just
Yes,
have to
sir.
come check in next time to
All
see what
right.
we're
Well,
going
we'll
to do.
catch y'all next time.
Peace,
Yes,
y'all.
sir. Peace.